Welcome to another episode of Millennials with Matt. Happy to join you again today. Hopefully you're checking out a lot of our videos. They're all based on millennials in the workplace and maybe some tips and tools that you can use as a manager or maybe as a millennial to figure out how best do we all work together. Today I want to talk about motivation. Motivation is a great tool to get people excited about to come to work, to experience life. And so one of the things that we want to talk about today is both extrinsic and intrinsic motivators. When we look at motivation, there's been a lot of science and a lot of theory around it. Herzberg was one of the first people to ever explore motivation. And what he came up with was there are two types of motivation. Extrinsic motivators, those are the things like pay increase, maybe you get a new job title, maybe you get a new car or there's a bonus, or maybe there's a commission. And so he said there's a lot of extrinsic things that an organization can do that keep people motivated in the workplace. The problem with extrinsic motivators is they run out, especially after the recession. So as companies are looking at how do we build motivation into the workplace, but we don't have the money to do it anymore, or maybe we don't even have the positions available to move people up along the ladder, how do we do that? One of the key things to look at is building intrinsic motivators in the environment. One easy way to do that is to remember the acronym C.A.M.P, C-A-M-P. And what that talks about is it's kind of four quadrants that you can think about when you think about motivation and how to lean into each one of those so that you kind of create a motivated experience for one another. Or even in your life, what are areas that you're looking at in your life to become more motivated? You can use the acronym C.A.M.P to assess that. So let's dig into C.A.M.P a little bit today. C.A.M.P stands for competency, autonomy, meaningfulness, and progress. So let's look at competency. Competency is how smart you are on the job. How competent do you feel when you go into work? You're going to be more motivated if you're smarter at your job and you have more competency. How do we build competency? Competency is all around building experience and education. So what is the organization doing to build a millennial's competency in their work, especially if they just started? Well, we better be entering them into some training programs. We better be giving them some opportunities to gain experience, to go out into the field, to talk to the right people, and also to have some great coaching and counseling along their career path. So competency is the first thing that we want to focus on. The second thing we want to focus on, that A in C.A.M.P, is autonomy. Autonomy is all about your ability to make decisions. What decision-making capability do you have? Of course, if you're a millennial and you're a young professional, you're not going to have a whole lot. But what can companies do to build in gradual autonomy? Some companies I've seen with their beginning millennials, their beginning young professionals, is just allowing them to decide what time do you want to go to lunch. Maybe it's 11, maybe it's 12, maybe it's 1. It's those little variations of autonomy and building that autonomy that makes people more excited, more motivated to come into work. Autonomy is also about building individuality. We trust you enough to go out and make responsible decisions. However, we've got to grow you into that role. And so that's where autonomy comes in. The M in C.A.M.P is all about meaningfulness. When we look at meaningfulness on the job, that's all about what's the mission of the place that I'm working at? What's the vision of where they want to go to? Meaningfulness has twofold. One is, what's the meaning I provide at work? So I want to be continually reminded about, here's your place at work, here's the impact it has on the world around you, here's the impact that you have on your peers, here's the impact that you have on the mission of the company. The second part of meaningfulness is the impact that the organization has on the world around it. We know that millennials love to work for organizations that have a great mission and have a great vision and have great social responsibility about the world around them. And so when we look at meaningfulness, it's both about how do you fit in the bigger picture of the organization, but also where does the organization fit into the world and how do we impact it in a positive way. The P in C.A.M.P stands for progress, and everybody needs to see progress to stay motivated at work. Sometimes that's going to come in the form of a pay increase or a new job title. But more so when we look at the intrinsic motivators of progress, we want to look at what's the plan moving forward? What's my roadmap when I start working here? What are the checkpoints along the way? Sometimes it may be a pay increase. Other times it may not be. It may just be, you've made it a year, you've made it 6 months. Here's how we're going to celebrate. Also, I always think that around progress, it's all about rewards and praise. Sometimes managers get a little finicky about how much praise a millennial needs, but I've seen plant managers shoot a quick text on a Friday afternoon to some of their best millennials and best workers that say, hey, I know what you did this week. You brought us a little bit further on our mission. Great job. Have a great weekend. That's all they need. They don't need big pay increases. They don't need a whole email written to them, but maybe just a short text to say, I notice you and I notice you're doing a good job. So, as a manager, as millennials, if you want to build motivation in your workplace or motivation on your team or even motivation in your life, look at C.A.M.P, competency, autonomy, meaningfulness, and progress as a great way to assess the motivation in your environment. Have a great day and keep on watching.